In Panama, General Secretary of National Union of Construction and Allied Workers, Suntracs, confirmed that the protests and strikes actions will continue against the contracts with the Canadian mining company. In Palestine, at a humanitarian ceasefire, the Israeli regime targeted the Tulkarem refugee camp, killing at least 5 people. In China, President Xi Jinping met with Russian State Duma chairman Vyacheslav Volodin as both nations continue to strengthen ties. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Mara Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Panama, popular demonstrations in rejection of the mining contract have the Canadian company first counting on the probes, which on Tuesday called for dialogue. The company on the verge of halting production due to the blockades that prevents the flow of vital materials also confirmed that it canceled a payment of $567 million to the Panamanian state. These payments, according to the mining company, covers periods between December 21st, 2021 and October 2023. The information does not mention what President Laurentino Cortizo stated a week ago when he affirmed in a message to the nation that the payment is in a restricted account of the National Bank.
What we are demanding is the repeal of a law by another law, and it is perfectly constitutional and perfectly legal, but everything is aiming at the imposition of the economic power that controls the political power and for which they have imposed, as we all know, that the way out be through the unconstitutionality road. We want to warn the people that the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary are part of the problem generated here with a contract that sells our homeland.
Saul Mendez, General Secretary of the National Union of Construction and Allied Workers, Suntracs, confirmed that the actions will continue as he reaffirms the determination to fight collectively.
It would seem that everything is being done to make the ruling either constitutional, Law 406, or partially unconstitutional, which would force the people to have to face even more the situation that is occurring. We also want to repudiate the statement made by Mr. Roger Tejada, who, alluding to this note from the Attorney General, tried to tell the country that the actions carried out by the patriotic people no longer made sense and that it was necessary to begin to wash the actions. No, the actions are maintained.
In Venezuela, a large representation of young people marched towards the main streets of Caracas to celebrate the University Students' Day and to take a stand on Venezuela's sovereignty over the territory of the Guyana Essequiba. From Caracas, our correspondent Luis Guillermo Garcia with the details.
The march passed along Universidad Avenue, among other streets, to go through 8 points that reminds us of the stars of the national flag, especially the 8th star that symbolizes the territory of the Venezuelan Guyana Essequiba.
We came out here to support the consultative referendum that will take place on December 3rd for the recovery of Essequibo territory because it belongs to our country and it has always belonged to us.
We are not recovering anything because it already belongs to us and it is ours. This December 3rd, I invite all young people to vote 5 times yes for the Essequibo.
Thousands of young people marched not only to show their commitments to their university studies, but also to their commitments towards the country and its sovereignty.
First, by supporting the decisions in favor of recovering our territory and not only the Essequibo. They have wanted to take many things away from us, but we are not going to let them do it.
To demonstrate to the world and to the foreign imperialist powers that we will not need the interference from anyone to defend what belongs to us. Long live the homeland.
The march of the university students was carried out to accompany the decisions of the state regarding the territory of the Guyana Essequibo, after the consultative referendum of December the 3rd, when the march will surely continue.
Desde Caracas, Venezuela, en la Cámara de Marcos da Silva, Luis Guillermo García Bencomo, teleSUR.
In the midst of the open dispute over the Essequibo territory, Guyana's former Minister of Natural Resources, Rafael Tulkarem, revealed that U.S. oil giant ExxonMobil has paid Guyana's legal expenses for its case against Venezuela at the International Court of Justice. As Guyana moved forward with its proceeding against Venezuela at the International Court of Justice on Friday, November the 17th, Tulkarem admitted to Guyanese media that the government of his country had accepted funds from ExxonMobil allegedly to help protect the territorial sovereignty of the country. In this way, Tulkarem stated that a large sum of money granted by ExxonMobil to Guyana was destined to pay legal and associated fees for the ongoing ICE case. For its part, Venezuela maintains its historical stance on not recognizing the ICE's authority in the dispute over the Essequibo territory. Caracas had previously denounced the interference of the U.S. oil company as hindering the objective of mutual agreement signed at the Geneva Agreement in 1966. Cuban pneumococcal vaccine Quimvio is ready to obtain its health registration before the National Regulatory Authority. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel announced in a meeting with experts and scientists to update the project that this fact that represents a prelude to another high-impact scientific outcome. Quimvio has been developed for more than 15 years in a joint effort of several institutions of the Ministry of Public Health and the biopharmaceutical industry. The process has completed clinical tests to evaluate over the time how the vaccine affects healthy children and others with diseases of risk.
In the province of Cienfuegos in 2018 and 2019, we also conducted a community clinical trial in which we vaccinated 93 of all the children between 1 and 5 years of age, and 1 year after they were vaccinated, we observed a 63% reduction in the rates of hospitalizations due to respiratory disease in the province of Cienfuegos and a 73% reduction in invasive pneumococcal disease. There really is impact data on the level of evaluation of this vaccine, which, once it can be introduced into the national health system, could have an impact on the country's child health indicators.
An unprecedented three-day mass strike began on Tuesday in Quebec as 420,000 public employees got tired of waiting for answers to their demands for labor and salary improvements. Group in a collective known as Common Front, formed by the several unions of Quebec, the Confederation of National Unions, the Alliance of Health Personnel, and the Federation of Workers, they remain on the streets in the second day of protests. They have been trying for a year to negotiate better working conditions and wait, but the government does not listen to them. Let's take a very first break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back from the south. In Palestine, officials report that at least 5 people were killed in an Israeli army drone strike on the Tulkarem refugee camp on Wednesday. During the bombardment, occupation soldiers beside the Tabet government hospitals, obstructing the passage of ambulances transporting the wounded from the attack. The Israeli drone also bombed with 2 missiles a house in the Ol Balawen neighborhood in Tulkarem, injuring at least 3 young men, while it later bombed a citizens' gathering. The Israeli military operation against the West Bank town of Tulkarem follows Israel's approval of a ceasefire agreement with the Hamas movement in the Gaza Strip. Our collaborator in Palestine, Mohammed El Safed, interviewed residents of Gaza who stressed that a truce is good, but not a solution, as they demand Israel's and the international community for the legitimate rights of the Gaza Strip.
We agreed with this truce so that the people can return to their homes. Those people who are wandering in the streets, these are the ones who suffer the most because their homes were destroyed. If they want to return, where will they return to? They have nothing left. I'm not telling you that the truce is not good, but what we want are our legitimate rights in the Gaza Strip. We call on the Arab world to think about the Gaza Strip. Yes, we want our rights here in the Gaza Strip, as for example the opening of the crossings, the opening of the other crossings, that is with respect to Israel to open the other crossings. We want them to reopen the factories, industries, and to reactivate anything so that the inhabitants of Gaza could work and that those who were forcibly displaced could return to their homes. We don't aspire to more, that there is a truce. Yesterday they say that there will be a truce. The day before yesterday they also say that there will be a truce. Let us hope, God willing, there will be a truce. We want the Jews to speak seriously, as serious as the promise of Hamas were serious.
World leaders surprised on Wednesday the truce agreement reached between Israel and Hamas. On social media, President Petro described the ceasefire as a light of hope in the world. The agreement calls for a cessation of hostilities from a few hours. It is far from ceasefire demanded by the crowds in the streets around the world, but it is released not only for those released, but also for thousands of Gazans who have been without water, electricity, food, clothes, fuel, and much less medicines for 47 days. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said her country welcomes the agreement on a humanitarian pass, noting that it has been called for by Moscow since the start of the war. The diplomat highlighted the blog of the government of Qatar, which led the entire process to the acceptance of the ceasefire by both sides, bringing significant humanitarian relief to the Palestinians and Israelis. Art is one of the many struggles filed in defense of the third Palestinian cause. Syrians prove so in the cultural, theatrical, and musical activities they have been developing in solidarity with their Palestinian sister nation and in opposition to Israel occupation. From Latvia, our correspondent Hisham News provides us the following report.
All acts of flood. Life Agony play tackled main issues as the forced displacement of the Palestinian people in 1948, the Zionist occupation's current attempts to repeat such crime against our Gazan neighbors, the Israeli massacres, and the steadiness of the Palestinian people. The play's venue was the Art and Literature House in coastal Latakia City, and cited to support our Palestinian sister nation.
We have tried through this play to shed light on the current situation in the occupied territories and the role played by the Palestinian resistance, and we have done so by highlighting the case of the Palestinian families who were displaced but still remain attached to their land in rejection of the Zionist plans to expel them by force, and our role as theater actors is to unmask this plan and stand out the steadfastness of Palestinians against Israeli attempts to displace them.
The work team in charge of this play summarizes in this work the historical stance of the entire Syrian people, who in defense of the fair Palestinian cause, which Syrians consider their core cause, claim to use all their provisions, including the artistic work in its different branches.
Theater is a true reflection of reality, and we wanted to spread through this play the current Palestinian reality to show our support to the Palestinian cause, which is our main cause, to denounce the massacres committed by the Israeli occupation in Gaza, to prove the criminal nature of the Zionist Israeli occupation, and to reaffirm our solidarity with our sister Palestinian nation.
Music is another means used by Syrians to express their solidarity with Gaza in view of the brutal Israeli aggression. The musical gala, Poems in Support of Palestine, is an example of this cultural solidarity.
The Palestinian people managed to preserve their folkloric and cultural heritage and literary legacy, which poses a serious setback to the Zionist plans of stealing their history, and therein lies our role as Syrian intellectuals who throughout our artistic movement support the Palestinian culture and literary work, as there are those fighting with their weapons in defense of this cause. So it's our turn to fight with our weapons, music, culture, and literary art.
Beyond these pivotal artistic demonstrations of solidarity with the Palestinian people, Syrians support the struggle of their Palestinian brothers and sisters, either in their political arena or on their battlefield. A comprehensive action whose main goal is the liberation of Palestine and the other occupied Arab territories.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to join us on our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on the screen to join directly or share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR when financial break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Chinese President Xi Jinping met with Russian State Duma Chairman Volodin in Beijing on Wednesday. Xi points out that China and Russia have enormous common interests. Xi also expressed his interest in strengthening the exchange of legislative experience between the Russian State Duma and the Chinese National People's Congress, which is also of interest to Russia, which is ready to actively implement the consensus reached by the two leaders. Russia has destroyed 4 unmanned Ukrainian gunboats that were heading for the Crimean Peninsula on the northern coast of the Black Sea. On Wednesday, the Russian Defense Ministry reported that 4 unmanned gunboats were detected in the western part of the Black Sea and were subsequently destroyed. No information was provided on casualties, injuries, or material damage. A virtual G20 summit began on Wednesday. Participants will discuss the main outcomes and actions points of the New Delhi summit and its progress. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs the meeting. The leaders of all G20 members countries, including the presidency of the African Union, as well as 9 guest nations and the heads of 11 international organizations, were invited to the event. The last G20 summit was held in September 2023 in India, which holds the presidency of the group until November the 30th, and will then hand it over to Brazil, which will host the meeting in November 2024. Food aid to 1.4 million refugees in Chad who flee conflict in parts of the Sahel could be cut off because of limits funding, the United Nations Food Agency warned this week. Most of the refugees fleeing the war in Sudan have crossed into Chad in the last 6 months in numbers not seen for 20 years, the UN's World Food Programme said in a statement. The World Food Programme's country director in Chad calls the situation a forgotten crisis and warns that life-saving operation in Chad could agree to a halt if funding for their mission isn't secure.
They have already shared whatever they could share. They can't share anymore. They even need assistance themselves. So now we need to assist all those 600,000 refugees that came, the returnees from Chad that were living there, but also now we also need to support the Chadian, the host population that are there, that are also suffering like all those Sudanese that have arrived.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share that our newscasts and contribute to provide an alternative news sources of the latest world events. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also use us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.